I wanted to get this in your hands so that you had a chance to review it while we're waiting for some time to pass. Because this is an opportunity that I think makes a lot of sense when the time is right. So start with the end in mind. I think if we do this the right way, we structure it within the proper ranges for you, we could look at generating $687,000 a year income tax free for the rest of your life. Illustrated, projected $687,000 a year income tax free for the rest of your life, starting in year 16. So, you're 42 today, about to be 43. So by the time you're 56, 57, 58 years old, we can start taking these distributions. And how we got there was by paying $123,000 a year. In our initial starting off design, we can do less, we can do more. Both of those have an impact on the structure and maybe how much distributions we can take out. But that's just a starting point because that's 10% of the premium that we're borrowing from the bank. So we, as a starting point, without getting into details on specific financials, we started 10% of the first year premium, or the total amount of the premium coming out of the client's pocket. And then have you projected that pledging a little over $900,000 a year of collateral for the first 3 years, and then going down to 880, 821, 450. And then by year 7, practically done with the collateral. In year 8, absolutely done with the collateral, because at that point, cash value in column 6, the cash value of the policy, is greater than the outstanding loan balance, right, in the design. Let me take a step back. The reason why we do this, Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world. And to kind of show you what that looks like, this is the lever that's long enough, that's Archimedes. Or that could be you, but the lever long enough, this is the fulcrum, and this is to represent the world. But when we place that inside of premium finance life insurance, when we structure that in a premium finance design of leverage, you're better at making money than it costs to take those distributions to pay the premiums in the life insurance policy. Keep it invested in your company. Your company's booming, right? It's growing. So leave those dollars invested, and it's cheaper to borrow it from the bank. Reinvest those dollars back in your business. Let's borrow the money relatively inexpensive from the bank. The second arbitrage is the actual performance of the policy. With the index crediting methods and the interest crediting methods between the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and other types of indexes, they have a zero floor. They have upside potential. And I actually did a video not too long ago. You can look at that one about the relationship between interest rates that the bank charges and the crediting rates that the policies provide, and the historical impact between those numbers, what that would have done for collateral for you. So check out that video. You can look at that if you want in the YouTube channel. The other thing is that you don't have to pay these premiums with after-tax dollars. We're borrowing the money from the bank, so they're tax-free loans. Again, if you were going to finance the premiums with your own dollars, you have to earn the income, pay the tax, pay the premium. Here, we're just borrowing the money so you can leave the money in your business, like I already mentioned on Arbitrage 1. And then the death benefit. The death benefit always is going to be excess of the loan, and it too is going to be an income tax-free and estate tax-free if we structure it the right way, which we will. So again, $123,000 a year, could be more, could be less out of pocket. Projecting $680,000 a year income tax free. Collateral doesn't really get much over $1 million in this example. Again, we need to make sure that's within your comfort and affordability guidelines. And then the death benefit, right? So the death benefit is still a sizable number for your beneficiaries depending on when you pass. I mean, it doesn't get much less than $9 million at its lowest point of tax-free dollars for your beneficiaries. If we were going to do it in a more traditional way, here's what it would look like from a term insurance perspective. Term for 10 years would cost 17 grand for 10 years. 20-year term would be $30,000 a year for 20 years. And then more than $50,000 a year for 30 years on a 20-year, $20 million policy. And then less than 2% of all term insurance policies have ever paid a death claim. I also did a video on that. You can check that out in the channel. It's a good deal for the insurance companies. And then if we're covering a very specific window of time for you, it could be, suitable in that sense. But if we're doing a long-term permanent play, that's where permanent policies, and there's 3 types of permanent policies: index universal life, whole life, and then variable life. And if we structured these permanent policies to match the same projected distribution of $687,000 a year that we did for you, then on a permanent IUL policy, you would have to put in nearly $500,000 a year after tax dollars of your money for 10 years. Again, I go back to those arbitrages that I mentioned. That probably doesn't make sense. If you wanted to do a whole life policy, $878,000 a year for 10 years, and doesn't quite get you to the 575, doesn't get you to the 687. Or a variable policy that doesn't have any of the features and guarantees that the IUL would have, $644,000 a year to get you for 10 years to get you to the 687 with no guarantees. Now, nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. Everything has pluses and minuses, pros and cons. There's no silver bullet. And it's our job to walk through those with you to make sure you understand. But I need to make sure understanding takes place on your part. 2, you can afford it. And 3, that it's within your collateral capacity. You can qualify for that. Those are the things that we look at here. But I wanted to get this in your hands so you could take a look at it. You could chew on it and tell you, here's what we're pushing for. This is not for nothing. This isn't just your regular old term, your life insurance policy that your grandparents had. This is properly applied leverage, right? And we need to do this within, again, understanding, affordability, and qualifications. But I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you know now why I'm working to try to get this done for you. But again, everything on your schedule, everything on your timeline. I just wanted you to have this information in front of you. Talk to you soon.